Today, we have ourselves a major update involving Kodai Senga. A possibility of him joining the team in 2024 is imminent. And also, what are the Vegas odds of Juan Soto actually joining the New York Mets for 2025 and moving on? Yeah, we're talking about all that in today's episode of Mets Digest. What's going on, Metropolitans? Flobo Boyce here. Thank you so much for checking out the channel. Again, we're trying to grow this to be the one-stop shop for all the content you need about the orange and blue. And the fact you're rocking here with me means that you are amazing. But before we get into today's topics, gotta say, help us out by hit that subscribe button, and that notification bell to keep yourselves locked in and know when new things come down the pipe. We need you to help grow the channel, and it means the world to Mike D'Angelo and myself. We're working hard to give you the best possible things when it comes to the Queen's Kings. All right, so first things first, let's talk about Kodai Senga. I kind of feel like I am on Kodai Senga watch. Everything seems to be happening back and forth about trying to figure out what to make of this season. For those of you who don't know, got to do a little quick primer. Kodai Senga, basically the functional ace last season, had the shoulder issue, took the entire first half of the season to get himself right. And on his first appearance on the mound, had that calf injury, and we didn't really know what was going to happen as far as will he be able to appear for the team in the back half. The initial prognosis was out for the season, completely shut down. LOL, Mets are going to Mets, as what most baseball media was saying. But then last week we had a little bit of pot stirring. What could be the possibility of having Kodai Senga join the team in 2024? And at first I was like, I don't know. Is that really smart? You really want to be able to bring someone back from injury? But let's be real. Since the All-Star break, the Mets have been pretty much riding that 500 wave. As I record this, the first game against the Marlins is in the books, and Brandon Nimmo got himself on the home run tally board. But we are essentially a little bit one game over 500 from the All-Star break, 14-13. And even though Manaea has been on a tear as far as his form, Severino and Quintana have been flat, and I wonder whether or not reinforcements are on the way, because as the playoff picture gets closer, we're kind of in the hunt, not in the wild card spot 1, 2, or 3, not win the division, but in the hunt, and that requires a lot of things to work in our favor, and maybe a hot streak, maybe a cooling down streak for San Diego and Arizona, but ultimately we're going to need some enforcements. But after the Oakland A's series this week, the one where we could have won, we could have swept, we didn't, David Stearns had another press conference where he was asking questions about Mark Vientos and whether or not pitchers walking players are a good idea. Hashtag spoiler alert, it isn't. But something about Kodai really caught my eye. They're asking about the possibility of Kodai coming back with the team. And he says this is actually from David Stearns, the president of baseball operations. Going through the initial stages for the recovery, the good news is it's a lower body injury. Remember, it's his calf strain. He's able to keep his arm going. We haven't been able to do any upright throwing yet. We're still kind of doing immobilized throwing. And when he was pressed, when the follow-up question came through, hey, okay, if he hasn't done any upright throwing, when's that coming down? His answer was the next week to 10 days. Now, let's be real. If it all goes well, you can't expect Kodai to show up next week for the team. But this right here shows me that they're very much in it. I was saying this before about injuries to star players when the teams are pretty much out the hunt. There's not necessarily a rush to come back. You think about the 20 through 23 season we had. That was something that was difficult to watch, to live through. And when Edwin Diaz was trying to get himself back into pitching form, a lot of us were kind of like, look, Edwin, just take the year off. We'll come back and we'll reload in 2024. And even then, it had its own struggles because he had to get used to the rhythm of the pitch clock and all that. If Kodai Senga comes back, you have to wonder whether or not he's apt for the rhythm of the game because he hadn't really been a factor the entire season. But there is a real desire to have more arms ready to go. I do think Severino's hitting his innings limit, maybe if not a formal one, definitely the effectiveness of his pitches is coming into question. And I lived through that Quintana performance this week against the Oakland A's. Now, I understand the Oakland A's are pretty much the hottest team outside of the All-Star break, but it's still hurt to watch. Maybe some enforcements will be good for us. So upright throwing, Kodai Senga possibility in the back half of August, maybe into September, that we may have a little bit of help when it comes to the Ghost Fork Merchant. Elsewhere, there has been talk about the actual possibility of Juan Soto joining the team in 2025. I have my own personal opinions about the generational talent, but I want to know what you think. Would you want Juan Soto on the team? And John Heyman, who is a regular contributor to the X platform and the New York Post, had a little bit of fun this week, decided to have some Vegas odds. Obviously, he doesn't really make the odds, but he was like, where would Juan Soto go if he was going to be traded, or will he stay here? Now, he is a New York Yankee, loves it. He says, loves New York, loves the roll call thing Yankee fans do. I had to really look it up. I haven't been to Yankee Stadium in like years. but the idea is, hey, if there's a team not named the Yankees, because he said the Yankees were even money in this experiment, where would he go? And of all the teams listed on this article, the Mets came number 2. I'm going to show you this article real quick, the clip here. John Heyman says, Steve Cohen provides their edge, and they have strategized to clear payroll via expiring contracts, but they might need to significantly outbid their crosstown rivals. Odds are 5-1. Now, I know these aren't actual odds. These are kind of funsy odds, but it made me think about the actual prospect of Juan Soto joining the team. A lot of things will have to happen. There will have to be a huge contract presented to Juan Soto. If the man wants to get his money, it is free agency. Why not? He's deserved it. Whether or not you're a fan of the Soto Shuffle, it costs a lot of money for teams, and it will cost a haul. He is not the captain of the Yankees, not saying that that means anything, but you want to wonder how much can the Yankees play with a contract versus getting him versus trying to show up. You're a captain. It's kind of a small thing, but something to consider. And if we do, and by we get the Mets organization do get Juan, where does that play where you put him in the field? A lot of dead money is coming off the books for the New York Metsies. And let's take a look at this outfield picture right now, because Harrison Bader, Tyrone Taylor, Jesse Winker, and Ben Gamel all have contracts expiring this year, and then Starling Marte has a contract expiring in 2025, which means you do have some flexibility of how you want to make Juan fit if you had an opportunity to do so. Then the stats, the numbers. The guy is dope. And to be fair, and for a long time on the Yankee squad, he was the 1-2 punch and the 2 of the 1-2 punch from that offense. I know there's a joke going around from Severino that the Yankees only had 2 hitters, and Soto was one of them. And whether or not you're going to walk Soto to get the Judge or walk Judge to get the Soto, didn't matter. The man can mash. He can elite defense as well, and he also can be kind of a mascot for the team, right? But yes, you talk about someone who's young, 25 years old. You lock him down, he can really contribute to a team, be a face of the brand, and those are things that are kind of beyond the actual baseball decisions. I do think that it's important to have someone who's there long-term to get people out to games year over year, and why not do that? But again, it's that outfield mix we have now and how flexible we have to maneuver. 4 bodies are up for contract renewals this year. So that's the next question. Having Juan Soto on the team, I'm going to ask you that. Sure, the answer is yes. Why wouldn't you if the opportunity presents itself? But someone would have to go. Bader, Taylor, Winker, and Gamel are all guys you have to decide on at the end of this season, and Starling Marte in 2025. So if you were the president of baseball operations and if everyone was healthy, how would you draw that up? Who would you have swap out for someone of Soto's caliber? And I like the thought experiment about having the Mets being the second greatest team, or the second most likely team Juan would go to if you were to move on from the New York Yankees. Because everything makes sense. You are in New York, you're in the major city, you're with players that you know, people know who you are basically a household name as it is. You're not afraid of the bright lights. You've shown that you can really make your whole thing work in smaller markets like San Diego and Washington, and you have a possibility of getting the bag, as the kids say. Why not come over to the orange and blue? crazy news and notes happening this weekend. The Mets have a very much a do or die series against the Marlins as we roll on, because this time a week from now it's that 4-game series against the Padres, who have been on an absolute torrid pace since the All-Star break. Every game's important from here on out, and hopefully we can get some headway on that win-loss record, on that division shape up things. We can actually make more concrete decisions. But imagine that ideal situation: Kodai Senga ready to pitch this season, Juan Soto on the roster next season. Things may look good. You've reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for checking it out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And of course, as always, it's LGM to the bitter end.